How Dowsing Works. The process of dowsing involves the use of one or more tools like an L rod, a Y rod, a pendulum or a bobber. These tools act as a physical conduit between the unconscious mind and all of the frequencies and vibrations of the cosmos, or all that is, God, or whatever you prefer to call him or her. Personally, for the purposes of dowsing, and like many other dowsers, I refer to this range of frequencies as the system. Dowsing is a process of connection or attuning our unconscious mind with the system, in a quest for answers to anything from simple earthly problems like finding water or noxious energies, to truth, enlightenment, and even connection with our higher selves. This process is used to seek information, whilst adhering to an etiquette and protocol that supports the most beneficial outcome from the dowsing process or dowsing session. One could be forgiven for assuming that this process is something like the Ouija board. However, nothing could be further from the truth. It is my opinion and advice that the Ouija board should be avoided at all times, for its frequency, intent, and purpose was never intended to be in the best interests of mankind, and its use attracts only low and generally unhelpful frequencies. Those frequencies, by default of their location in the cosmic food chain, are cunning, deceitful, and not to be trusted under any circumstances, for they are more than capable of convincing less discerning individuals that they are anything the individual or dowser wants to believe they are. The human organism is affected by electromagnetic fields. We have three sensors, one in the pituitary gland and two in the adrenal glands, and they are very effective at picking up electromagnetic energies. The reason for their effectiveness is that there are three of them, which provides 3 points of reference to any source, such as water moving underground, for example. Any energy flow creates electromagnetic fields that can be picked up by our internal sensors if we are open to them and sufficiently in state to do so. By the term in state, I mean being of the correct mental state or frame of mind. In other words, being tuned in. Just like the ears can detect volume, pitch and the direction of sound, and the eyes can detect shade and light and colour, these sensors seem to be able to pick up patterns of energy and their direction. And so it is that the unconscious mind can gain access to information relating to energy sources, and not just those emanating below the ground. These energy sources include even the more subtle energies that science has neither the knowledge of or the ability to currently measure with even the most advanced technology. And so it is that dowsing forms a link or bridge between the unconscious, the system, and through the pendulum, with the conscious mind. In essence, the pendulum or other dowsing tools simply magnify information passed to them through the muscles of the hand holding them. In turn, the muscles are influenced by the unconscious mind as it registers input in the form of energies, frequencies, and of course answers to questions. This information is transmitted to the muscles in the form of subtle involuntary movements by the unconscious. There is no mystery to this, and there's no magical, unseen force moving the pendulum, despite what some people might like you to believe. Testing shows that dowsers actually move their pendulum, rod or bobber, with tiny involuntary muscle movements. This is not because they're necessarily doing so consciously, or in some desperate attempt to convince anyone of anything. It is simply because at an unconscious level, the mind influences the muscles in making minute and very subtle movements that influence the pendulum to move in a given direction that coincides with a predetermined dowsing protocol, like yes or no, for example. This is called an idiomotor response, often referred to as IMR. A concept originally used in hypnosis and psychological research, in which there's a mental or internal representation that causes a psychological, muscular or motor response. And it works in a host of circumstances that are predominantly unconscious. Bearing in mind that we're affected by electromagnetic fields, that we have an unconscious mind that is more capable of registering these fields and influencing muscle movements as well, it is not hard to see how water and other energies can be detected through dowsing, not least when one considers the mind's vast and untapped perceptive abilities. Being in possession of the facts rather than the superstitions and urban myths about dowsing, the process should actually seem quite plausible, logical and reasonable to even the most hardened skeptic. So this is how it works. The internal sensory system picks up a frequency, electrical current or signal underground, or indeed above the ground for that matter too. The conscious mind is totally unaware of this in that moment. The only way that the unconscious can communicate with us to the level that we will actually listen or acknowledge it is through involuntary muscle movements, or through that feeling that we sometimes get that something requires our attention. That feeling is what we call intuition. That is why I refer to dowsing as applied intuition, because by using a very basic tool as simple as a pendulum, we can apply intuition at a tangible and experiential level. What is more, we can replicate it consciously and at will once we have learned the skill to a reasonable level. If you've ever had the feeling that something should be acknowledged, that you need to be aware of something, or you have hunches that turn out to be correct, then that's your intuition. We are all intuitive to one degree or another, whether that level be purely primal or survival based, or more subtly at higher levels of perception. Dowsing merely enables us to tap into that intuition on demand and gain access to a whole new world of frequencies and vibrations that exist from the lowest notes in the universe through to the more third-dimensional earth energies and right up to some of the highest levels and planes of consciousness. It is in this context that dowsing can be learned, developed and used to the most amazing advantage. By literally creating protocols or procedures for dowsing, we can program our own unconscious mind to tune in and receive information about literally anything within the system, or all that is. Even the most basic protocols can open the door to information regarding health, well-being, and spiritual guidance. In short, dowsing is what could be described as the practical application of intuition, insight, and wisdom. It reaches beyond the boundaries of the physical world and allows us a sneak preview of things past and present on all levels and planes of our being. I omit the future for very good reason, for future events are never cast in stone until the moment of their ultimate unfolding. Of the future, therefore, all we can hope to know is what is possible, or maybe at best probable, but in the end, it is free will that scuppers all attempts to predict with clarity and true vision. Perhaps most exciting of all is the personal confirmation that it brings that we are not and never have been alone in the universe, and that we are each a miraculous pulse of a single beating heart of all that is, or the system that nourishes, informs, and sustains all things. If you want to learn more about dowsing, or you're looking to connect with other like-minded dowsers around the world, you can find out more at the British College of Dowsing. You'll find us online at www.thebritishcollegeofdowsing.org.